Benaiah chased a lion into a pit on a snowy day and killed it. Think about that for a moment. A lion, a pit, snow. He quit playing it safe and started running towards the roar. And sometimes the lion isn't outside us. Sometimes the biggest lion is actually inside us. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for permission. Stop assuming entrepreneurship belongs only to those people who start companies. Become entrepreneurial about your life. So chase the lion, because there's something inside you that all the world needs.
Keep shining, be a light. You were made to be a lighthouse, shine bright. Keep shining, be a light.
Hello and welcome to Keep Shining with Stuart MacMillan. This month, we are focused on entrepreneurialism. It's hard to say. Entrepreneurs, let's just say that. And I wanted to talk today about what that means when one is also trying to shine a light, to be a lighthouse. You see, I want to talk about entrepreneurship, but probably not in the way we normally talk about it. Because when we hear the word entrepreneur, we tend to picture someone starting a company, someone raising money, someone inventing something, someone taking a financial risk. And yes, that's entrepreneurship. But I think entrepreneurship is something much, much bigger. Entrepreneurship is a way of looking at life. It is seeing what could be instead of simply accepting what is. It's looking at a problem and seeing an opportunity. It's having an idea and being willing to actually do something about it. It's refusing to spend your entire life waiting for someone else to give you permission. And when we live life that way, something happens. Our light actually gets brighter. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." And then he says something interesting. He doesn't tell us to become light. He doesn't tell us to become light. He says we're already light. The question is, if we're already light, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to protect it? We're going to hide it? We're going to dim it? You know that song, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, hide it under a bushel." No. What we're going to do is, if we're not going to hide it or dim it, are we going to let it shine? See, I believe that entrepreneurship, whether we're building our own business or actually working inside somebody else's, it's one of the extraordinary ways that we can allow that light to shine. Because entrepreneurship forces us to grow. It stretches us. Sometimes it scares us. It teaches us, most definitely. And ultimately, if we allow it to, it can make us better versions of ourselves. Think about the lion in the pit. And you're going, what? There's a remarkable story buried in the Old Testament. It's actually only a few verses. And it's the story of a man named Benaiah. Now, 2 Samuel tells us that Benaiah was a mighty warrior. And then Scripture gives us this most unbelievable sentence. It says that Benaiah chased a lion into a pit on a snowy day and killed it. Now, think about that for a moment. A lion, a pit, snow. I'm pretty sure if I saw a lion, my first thought wouldn't be, I wonder if I can get that thing into a pit. most of us would be moving very quickly in the opposite direction. And that's what actually makes this story so powerful. Mark Batterson, one of my favorite authors, he builds this book, Chase the Lion, around Benaiah. Because Benaiah did something completely counterintuitive. He ran toward the thing everybody else would have run away from. As Batterson writes it, he quit playing it safe and started running towards the roar. That, my friends, is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs hear a roar, and while everyone else sees danger, they sometimes see possibility. Where everybody else sees a problem, they see an opportunity. Where somebody says that's never been done before, the entrepreneur asks, why not? Where somebody says that's just the way we've always done it, the entrepreneur asks, does it have to be? That doesn't mean entrepreneurs aren't afraid. Absolutely not. Because Benaiah wasn't courageous because lions weren't dangerous. He was courageous precisely because they were. Courage, and I've often said this, isn't the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that something else matters more than the fear. I want to ask you today, what is your lion? Every single one of us faces lions. Maybe your lion is starting something. Maybe it's changing careers. Maybe it's presenting an idea that everyone else thinks is crazy. Maybe it's walking into an office and saying, I think there's a better way to do this. Maybe it's making a phone call. Maybe it's asking someone to join you on your journey. Maybe, just maybe, it's actually admitting, I've been playing too small. And sometimes the lion isn't outside us. Sometimes the biggest lion is actually inside us. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection, fear of what other people might think, fear that we're not smart enough, young enough, experienced enough, connected enough, qualified enough. And if we're not careful, we spend our lives constructing perfectly reasonable explanations for why we never chase the lion. And that's where entrepreneurship becomes more than just economics. It actually becomes personal development because every time you chase something difficult, you actually discover something about yourself. Every time you hear no and keep moving, you actually become more resilient. Every time something fails and you learn from it, you actually become wiser. Every time you have to communicate your vision, you actually become a better communicator. Every time you have to inspire somebody else, you become a better leader. Every time that you solve a problem nobody has solved for you, you become more resourceful. And then suddenly you realize the greatest thing your dream is building might not be the business. It actually might just be you. Dream big. Dream big. That's one of the things I love about Bob Goff, another one of my favorite authors. You'll see a few of his books behind me. Bob asks us in the book Dream Big essentially three questions. Number one, what do you want? Number two, why do you want it? And number three, what are you going to do about it? These are deceptively simple questions because lots of people know what they don't want. They don't want their current job. They don't want their current income. They don't want their current circumstances. But ask them, what do you actually want? And suddenly things get really quiet. Somewhere along the way, many adults stop dreaming altogether. You see, children dream naturally. Ask a 6-year-old what she wants, and you'll hear possibilities: an astronaut, a doctor, a singer, the president, an inventor. maybe all 5. Nobody has taught her yet to explain why something can't happen. And then life happens. We experience disappointment, failure, responsibilities, other people's expectations, and slowly the questions change. We stop asking, what could I become? And we start asking, what's realistic? There's nothing wrong, by the way, about being realistic. Nothing at all. But there is something tragic about allowing realism to become an excuse for never dreaming again. Bob Goff talks about recapturing the version of our lives we dreamed about before fear started calling the shots. I actually love that idea because fear is a terrible CEO. Fear's strategy is always the same. Protect what you've got. Don't risk anything. Don't look foolish. Don't try anything that might fail. Stay comfortable. But almost nothing extraordinary has ever been created by somebody whose primary objective was avoiding embarrassment. You see, entrepreneurship isn't about quitting your job, although that could be part of it. And here's something I think sometimes we get wrong. You don't have to own a company to be an entrepreneur. Some of the greatest entrepreneurs I know work inside organizations. They're sometimes called intrapreneurs. They don't say, that's not my job. They say, I see something that could be better. They don't wait for the perfect committee. They don't need somebody to write an instruction manual. They take ownership. They solve problems. They create. They innovate. They bring energy and they challenge conventional thinking. They treat the company as though they actually have something invested in its success. Imagine what would happen if every organization had more people like that. People who walked in to work every morning asking, what can I make better today? Not, what is the minimum that's expected of me today? What value can I create? That's an entrepreneurial mindset. And here's the wonderful thing. Nobody has to give you an actual title before you can start thinking that way. You can be entrepreneurial from almost anywhere in an organizational chart. Often, and I'm thinking about, people who try and fail. Of course, failure can be considered to be, think about this, tuition. If we're going to live entrepreneurially, we have to make peace with something, and it's called failure. We're going to get things wrong. We're going to launch ideas that don't work. We're going to misjudge people. We're going to lose opportunities, and we're going to hear no. Probably a lot. But entrepreneurs eventually learn something incredibly valuable. Failure isn't always a verdict. Sometimes it's tuition. I know you're scratching your head going, what are you talking about? You paid for an education, learn the lesson, keep moving. Batterson, going back to him, Mark Batterson, he makes the point in Chase the Lion that we cannot fully seize opportunity while being controlled by our fear of failure. That's why Benaiah matters. Imagine if Benaiah had stood at the edge of that pit conducting a risk assessment. Let's see, snow, lion, pit. The spreadsheet would have said, do not proceed. But there are moments in life, truly, when the spreadsheet can't make that decision for you. There are moments when faith has to step in. There are moments when courage has to step in. There are moments when we all just have to jump into the pit. And here's perhaps the most important thing, for me anyway, that entrepreneurship does. It reveals us. Pressure has a way of doing that. When things aren't working, who are you? When somebody rejects you, who are you? When somebody else gets the opportunity that you wanted, who are you? when nobody applauds you, who are you? When you could take a shortcut and nobody would know, who are you? You see, entrepreneurship gives us countless opportunities to develop character, patience, integrity, humility, discipline, perseverance, empathy, generosity, faith. And those qualities matter far more than whatever is in our bank account. Because there are indeed plenty of successful people who have built impressive companies, but never built impressive lives. Success isn't simply what you accumulate, it's who you become. That brings me back to light. Everything always brings me back to light and shining. What does it mean to shine? I don't think shining means drawing attention to ourselves. I've often said that lighthouses shine out, not down. Light doesn't exist so that people can admire the light bulb. Light helps people see. And that's what great entrepreneurs do. They help people see possibilities. They solve problems. They create jobs. They develop people. They bring products into the world that improve people's lives. They create communities. They give people opportunities that they didn't have before. They see potential in people who haven't yet seen it in themselves. You see, folks, that's shining. And your light doesn't become brighter by competing with someone else's light. If somebody else succeeds, your light doesn't become dimmer. In fact, some of the greatest satisfaction in entrepreneurship comes when our light helps ignite somebody else's light. When somebody says, "You believed in me before I believed in myself." When somebody gets their first promotion. When somebody earns income they never thought possible. When somebody discovers real confidence. When somebody realizes, maybe I can do this. That's a different kind of return on investment. And I would argue that it's the best one. There is enormous satisfaction in achievement. Closing the deal, that feels so good. Building the company, I've done it. It feels so good. Hitting the goal feels good. But those feelings eventually fade. There's another kind of satisfaction that actually lasts longer. It's being able to look back and say, I became somebody that I wasn't before. I became more courageous. I became more disciplined. I became more generous. I became more confident. I became a better leader. I became a better friend. I became a better spouse. I became a better person. The mountain didn't simply give me a better view. Climbing it gave me stronger legs. That's the hidden gift of a big dream. Sometimes we think we're chasing the dream, and somewhere along the way we discover it's actually the dream that has been shaping us. So let me ask you Bob Goff's questions. What do you want? Not what does everybody else expect from you. What do you want to create? What problem would you love to solve? What difference would you love to make? And then, why do you want it? Because your why will carry you through seasons when your motivation won't. And finally, what are you going to do about it? Not someday, not when everything lines up, not when you're completely ready. Because here's the secret. You're probably never going to feel completely ready. Benaiah didn't wait for summer until the snow was gone. The scripture specifically tells us there was snow on the ground. The conditions weren't perfect, and yet he chased the lion anyway. Maybe that's the invitation for all of us. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for permission. Stop assuming entrepreneurship belongs only to those people who start companies. Become entrepreneurial about your life. Become entrepreneurial about your career. Actually, become entrepreneurial about your relationships. Become entrepreneurial about the difference that you can make in this world. Look for possibilities, solve problems, create value, take responsibility, dream again, risk something, fail occasionally, learn constantly, and help others succeed. And above all else, shine. Because there's something inside you that all the world needs: an idea, a gift, a talent, a perspective, an opportunity, a dream, maybe even a calling. And perhaps the tragedy wouldn't be trying and failing. Perhaps the greater tragedy would be reaching the end of our lives and discovering that we had spent all our energy protecting a light that we were actually supposed to be sharing. So I tell you tonight, dream bigger. Take the step, make the call, pitch the idea, start the business, improve the company that you're already in, believe in somebody, and believe that God isn't finished with you yet. And when you hear that roar, don't automatically run away. Remember Benaiah. Sometimes the thing that looks like the greatest obstacle standing between you and your future is actually the opportunity that leads you toward it. So chase the lion, dream bigger, become the person the dream requires you to become. And wherever God has placed you, shine your light a little brighter. Thanks for listening. Keep shining and be a light.